goes the recording. There goes the encoder. And you are good to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, NXT TakeOver in your house was in their house. This week, we're going to talk about WWE's Backlash pay-per-view tonight. And will it have the greatest wrestling match ever? I don't know. Fuck, man. We're going to do our pro wrestling scorecards picks. We're going to get into all that and more this week as we
break the ring down.
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
Oh, yeah.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. You just made the list.
This right here is a family.
Hey, this is professional wrestler and professional podcaster Colt Boom Boom Cabana.
My name is Killer Cross.
This is The Smoke Show, Scarlett Bordeaux.
What's up, guys? The Machine, Brian Cage.
This is Ryan from Pro Wrestling Tees.
Sadly, you are not listening to The Art of Wrestling, but you made a decent choice because you're listening.
You are now listening to...
And you're listening
to
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring. Break it down.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching, you are listening, you are paying attention to the most inappropriate pro wrestling show in the motherfucking world. You're listening to Breaking Down the Ring. We are your ring crew.
Smitty. Koenig 19.
And me, the almighty one, Mikey himself. Last week, man, NXT TakeOver in your house. Was a show that was surprising in some ways. Things that we completely thought were going to go one way went the opposite way. And then things that we thought were going to be standout moments really were more like sit down and go, not bad. Yeah. We're going to talk about that. Obviously, Backlash for WWE is tonight. Edge and Randy Orton are allegedly going to have the greatest wrestling match ever.
Allegedly.
There, even Edge was. Is that the T, Nick? So they, even Edge was on something and saying that he was like, I hate the fact that they're billing this as the greatest wrestling match ever. He's like, because then if you fail, you fail. Hey, Z, like you're like 20 seconds late, bro, because we didn't start so late.
Yeah, I noticed there was some technical difficulties in the chat.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem, guys. I don't know what's wrong.
Yeah, because he just knows where to go to open the Safari. So, but yeah, even Edge is talking about how he wishes this was not going to be publicized as the greatest wrestling match ever because it just seems like you're setting yourself up for failure. So obviously we'll talk more about that. But let's talk about NXT TakeOver in your house right now. 6 matches. Started off with the 6-woman tag team match. Mia Yim, Shotzi Blackheart, and Tegan Nox went over Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, and Raquel Gonzalez because Tegan Nox pinned Dakota Kai. Then Finn Balor went over on Damian Priest. Keith Lee retained his NXT North American Championship against Johnny Gargano. Adam Cole, in a cinematic last chance backlot brawl, retained the NXT Championship. Karrion Kross with Scarlett defeated Tommaso Ciampa. It was a non-squash match. And then in a triple threat match for the NXT Women's Championship that main evented TakeOver, Io Shirai won her first ever Women's Championship after pinning Rhea Ripley by doing a moonsault as Rhea Ripley was being given the figure 8 by Charlotte. So let's talk a little bit about this. Let's just go match by match, man. So we'll start off the 6-woman tag team match. Smitty, you're our fucking champion, so you're going to go fucking first, man. How did you feel the way this 6-woman match happened?
I like the fact that we got to see Shotzi Blackheart showcase in this and Arena Gonzalez showcase in this match.
It's Raquel Gonzalez, sir. She's not Reina anymore.
Okay.
It's a new gimmick.
Yeah. But like the fact that they were showcased within this match. Was like for some reason even though I feel like I'm a little tired of the whole Tegan Knox Dakota Kai thing. Those two just have great chemistry together. And this added a new element to like having Candice and Mia with the whole Candice and Mia thing. There's a lot of things that was kind of it felt like they put together just to try to get some stories done. But I was happy with the outcome.
What's the problem with that? Why is it? Why you make it sound like it's a bad thing that they're putting things together just to get stories done? If you get stories done, then you can move on to the next thing. Don't you want to do that?
I mentioned like I'm kind of run out on the whole Tegan Dakota thing, but I said I like the whole Mia Candice thing and the showcasing of Shotzi and Gonzalez.
Nick, how did you feel about it, sir?
It was a pretty good match. I enjoyed it. I liked the build up when you had Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano sitting for dinner, and then Keith Lee and Mia Yim like the next week or a couple weeks after, kind of doing the same thing. I thought that was kind of funny, and it was a good way to build it up. And I'm sorry, Mia Yim looked great in that video package. I like rewatched it a couple times, But no, the match was. Were
you fighting with yourself there because you're in love with Shotzi already, and then you got now you're just falling for Mia Yim.
I got plenty of love to go around, So.
All right.
But yeah, it was a good match.
He looked like Randy Marsh at the end of that match, after he discovered the internet.
Oh, Sharon.
Yeah, I liked it. It was good, and I was a little surprised. I had picked Dakota Kai's team to win, so let's go,
dummy. Z, your thought process on this?
It was a good match overall. As far as the build, I mean, it was a great match in how they tied two storylines together, and kind of just it. I'm assuming what this is the finish of the Tegan Knox Dakota Kai, or at least the pause button on it for a while, and that kind of slows that one up. Then you'll still go forward with Candice and Mia Yim, and it's just a great way to tie up one storyline and continue on with another. And the match itself was exceptional. I mean, overall, it was great. It showcased all their talents except for Giant Gonzalez, But, that's about it.
I was a little disappointed that it was so short. I think we were, even a lot of us were talking about how this is only 6 matches. I mean, how it's 6 matches. We're like, oh my God, they're throwing an extra match. And it seemed like it was going to go, for a decent amount of time for this pay-per-view. This obviously being the second shortest match. It was only like almost 10 minutes. And I thought it would have went a little bit longer. I wasn't sick of anything. The Mia Yim, Candice LeRae leaving the match, being out of the match and stuff like that, just left it up to those 4 to go at it. And I'm okay with it. I wish that like the main participants, something would have happened. I think I even picked Mia Yim to go over Raquel Gonzalez, but it's just like that was the cornerstone of why that match was made. Those were the building blocks, and everyone came out to help and do stuff there. Yet those 2 were nowhere near involved in any of the last little bit of that match. So to me, it just seemed like pointless. With that, I would have preferred either Candice LeRae to, if they were going to win, Candice LeRae to get the pin on somebody else, or Mia Yim to get the pin on someone else because of something that was going on. Other than that, man, like everyone said, I thought it was a really good match. Just to me, to the end of it, seemed to kind of fall flat. Up next, Finn Balor set the record for NXT TakeOver wins by defeating Damian Priest in the next match. Z, is is it seeming like it's time for Finn Balor to do something major? Because like he's only had the Universal title run in WWE, and he, buckle bomb, fucked his shoulder up. So obviously that was a 24-hour title reign, and then he really didn't get much of anything else on the main roster. So when he moved down to NXT or moved over to NXT, it was like, yes, finally you're gonna get this major push. And it just seems like they're flip-flopping, floundering them around right now.
Well, part of that is he was supposed to be feuding with Walter, and due to visa reasons and the COVID and everything, they kind of had to put that on the back burner. So they threw him in with Damian Priest. And honestly, that match was a hard-hitting match. Did you happen to look at Finn's body afterwards? Like he took a fucking beating, and you could tell you go to kick somebody, you slap your leg, make it sound a little louder, but it sounded like a lot of these just connected right on the chest, and it looked like it too by the time he was done.
Leg slapping, good time.
I think in due time, Finn's going to get his, no matter what. It just sucks that they were kind of building him to face Walter for the UK championship. And again, that had to be put on the back burner. So this is what we get for now. And I mean, spoiler alert, Dream lost, so he's no longer in the title picture. So now maybe they finally pull the trigger on Cole and Finn Balor 2, in which Balor goes over and then gets a major push as the champ again. Who knows? More, with less and less restrictions due to COVID, maybe we can finally see that Walter and Finn, because that was a match I was interested in. Although I don't view the UK title on the same level as like the NXT or Universal titles, but it still would have been an interesting matchup, and I would have been invested in that. So,
all right. Smitty, what about you, sir, with this match and possibilities of where you think these guys are going to be going post this?
I pretty much agree with Z about like how it was a nice, hard-hitting match. The whole Walter thing, yes, we all, if you read the original plans. The original plans.
Words, Smitty. Words.
The original plans with Finn were to be with Walter around this point. Really say COVID fucked that up. I can see Finn going for the, but okay. Even though it was another spoiler, from NXT, Finn already put out a challenge for what he wants to do next already, which I think makes no sense. I think he's due for something big as well.
Well, what is he doing? Why don't you tell the audience in case they don't know?
He's challenging. He's trying to challenge Keith Lee for the North American Championship.
That makes sense, because then he can go over as North American champion, and Keith Lee can be pushed up to the big title picture or put on the main roster.
But you're saying you don't like that idea, Smitty?
I think it was something bigger than the main card title.
Nick.
It's hard to disagree with either one of those things of what Z was in, going after Adam Cole and going for the NXT title, but it does make sense for him to go after Keith Lee's North American title, and I think Keith Lee's somebody that we could see go up to the main roster sooner rather than later. So, I'm okay with either thing, but I do want to see something more from him, because like you guys were saying, he came to NXT and he's just been kind of laying low and doing a little bit of this and a little of that, but no real big push. So one way or the other, whether it's the NXT title or the North American title, I can live with either one. I would rather see him go after Cole, because I think that would be a really good match to see. Because I wasn't really watching when it was Cole and Balor back in the day, but the match between him and Priest was really good, though. It was very hard hitting. It was better than I thought it would be. Damian Priest is actually pretty solid. He's very physical. So it was a good match to watch.
In watching this, it reminded me of how good Damian Priest was. I think we were talking about it last week. where it's like there's been so much Damian Priest, or maybe I was just talking about it with Daniel from Pro Wrestling Scorecards. There was Damian Priest. I'm blanking on his name in Ring of Honor. What was it?
Punishment Martinez.
Punishment Martinez. When he was Punishment in Ring of Honor as Punishment Martinez, Damian Priest was a great showcase. You know, it was somebody that was really fun to watch, and it just and kind of like Finn Balor, just all of a sudden started floundering when he came out as Damian Priest. And it's not so much against him, you know, it's more of there's all these other storylines. Where are we going to slide you in? It just seemed like a weird slide if you're not going to make him this dominant person, because you had Keith Lee at the time being a dominant person. So it was like, you don't want to see the same thing from two different guys, you know. I feel this match brought him back to the limelight in being inside NXT. Hopefully he can at least get some sort of storyline going to where it's not just a one-off decent match like he just did with Finn, because that Who Attacked Me storyline just kind of was like, what? Just for this? You know, it didn't really spawn anything much from it. I would like to see Damian Priest promoted pretty well in NXT. I think he is a guy who I'm not really sold on the Archer of Infamy gimmick, but his wrestling ability, his look and everything like that, I think could go over really well in NXT. And yes, you guys are right, man. It was a real hard-hitting match, and man, Finn was red. You know, Jesus Christ. Up next, Johnny Gargano did not win the NXT North American Championship from Keith Lee, even though he got cocky with his violence and the key to the eye. That was bad. Sorry, guys. But Keith Lee did win. Nick, tell me how you felt about this match. Think again.
It was a good match. The whole key thing was a little weird for me.
Why?
I don't know. It's just something that I've never seen, like somebody with a key.
But didn't he key him like the Wednesday before that? No?
I mean, the original part where he uses his key was brilliant because he was in street clothes and they didn't give him time to change for the match, so he went in his pockets and grabbed his keys. Like, psychologically, I thought that was fucking beautiful. And then to have him come out and lock the door and then drop the key in his tights right before the match, psychology-wise, that was fucking great in my opinion.
I hadn't really seen that prior to it, so it was just kind of, it didn't, I wasn't really following it, but I know, sorry. But it was a good match. I think any match that these two guys are in, whether it's against each other or whoever, is always a really good match. So to put them together, I wouldn't mind seeing the storyline go a little farther now. I don't, obviously I don't think it will, but who knows. But yeah, it was another good match. It wasn't great, but it was good.
Z.
What?
Same question.
I really thought Gargano was going to go over here.
Yeah, this is one of those surprise ones.
Yeah, well, and especially the way they're building him as a heel, it would have just made sense. But, I mean, it also makes sense that Keith Lee went over, but now you're looking at like, well, what the fuck do you have to do to Keith Lee in order to make him lose that title? You know what I mean? Like, so that's where I'm at with that. But overall, I mean, it was Johnny Gargano and Keith Lee. Like, if the match, I would have been shocked if the match would have shit the bed. But again, it was a solid match, solid psychology, bringing in stuff that happened weeks ago, bringing the whole story full circle and stuff like that. So again, another solid match for NXT on this card.
Smitty, this is the longest match on the card. This match went just a little over
about 22
minutes. It went
about
20 minutes and 35 seconds if you want to just go ahead and be technical there, Smitty. A little over 20 minutes. It was the longest match on the card, even though you had a triple threat for the women's title and you had the last chance backlot brawl for the NXT championship, which was a cinematic match. WWE seems to be making these cinematic matches shorter and shorter when it seems like you could do so much more by giving them some time. Were you surprised at the length of this match, and were you surprised at just specifically how this match played out?
I was all right with it. Like I'm glad Keith Lee won. Shout out to Keith Lee Fusion's platform for the cause. The Dick Key move, whatever you want to call it, was just kind of weird to me. It's like I get why they did it because of the build, and it kind of like Keith Lee's just looks, and this is also one of the first times we've seen Keith Lee work with a smaller guy, just like really work with a smaller guy. Most of Keith Lee's feuds and matches have been with bigger guys, so this was something refreshing to kind of see.
Isn't Roddy kind of like a smaller guy, more Gargano size than Keith Lee size? The question was for you, Smitty.
Yeah, we were waiting for Smitty
trying to think. He's smaller. Gargano's smaller than Roddy, but just like
I mean, in comparison, I mean, he's more Gargano size than Keith Lee size again. So he's a smaller guy as compared to Keith Lee, like you're doing right now.
But even
Smitty knows he's wrong and he's trying to fight himself out of this.
He's trying to think of an excuse and he can't come up with one.
No, because even with the Roddy situation, he still had UE on his back. It's like at this point he had backup with Mia Yim when it came to the whole Candice LeRae factor. So it was a little bit more evened out. Like his whole thing with Roddy is you still had to deal with Undisputed Era. So when I say you really say he's pretty much worked this match with pretty much just him and Gargano at this point.
All right. Personally, I loved certain aspects of this match. I like how when Gargano was coming out, he changed the temperature to 69. Just made me laugh right there.
And in his like little shit-eating grin too when he did it.
Right. He's like, hey. And then they fight in the match there, the doorbell cam for a camera angle. I thought that was really good. It was weird to me how it was a smart house like that and it still had a fucking key. Like, why not just
have a little code?
Right, but I get it. You obviously got to use the key. But to me, I thought it was just really funny that it was a real smart house setup, and it was just there's this key though to lock the front door. But then there was aspects of it I was not a fan of. Like there was a couple times where Gargano was there was counters and everything going around Keith Lee, but because Keith Lee is so wide, and I broad. Let me say broad, not wide, because Gargano has, done this stuff with bigger guys as well, but Keith Lee is broader in the shoulder area, so it was like a little wonky at times for some moves when he was trying to go around his body for I think the tornado stuff, but it didn't take enough away from the match to where I was not impressed, because still Keith Lee looks really strong going in. Like Z said, it's kind of like what's it gonna take to beat this guy for the North American Championship? And who knows, man? If Finn's going up against him, it could take a demon to beat him. So we haven't seen that character come out in a while, and it's very possible it could play out like that. I will say though, this was the length of this match compared to the other matches surprised me. Like originally, I think I even put this around 18, 19 minutes on my pro wrestling scorecard. But I also put other matches longer. It seemed like we were going to get more meat in other matches. So when this match became the longest match, it seemed like after this, as good as pieces of things were, and as happy as I was when the pay-per-view ended with the final match of Io Shirai going over, it still seemed like right here was your pinnacle of NXT TakeOver in your house, and then everything else, like you wanted more, but it was like there just wasn't enough to give you for some reason. So speaking of next match after this, this is where people kind of got surprised. Adam Cole and Velveteen Dream for the NXT Championship in the last chance backlot brawl. Like right off the bat, people were like, wait, this is not going on as the main event, even though it's being pushed. And then you understood why as it went on. Adam Cole comes out in his little dick truck, and Velveteen Dream comes out. I really appreciate that everyone gets that reference. And Velveteen Dream doesn't. It was really funny. He came out in a yellow Lamborghini rather than a little red Corvette. It's like the perfect time to use this, but he didn't.
Yep.
Especially with the promo where it was like Prince was in the fucking mirror. Like, why didn't he come out in a little red Corvette? And then he gets out of the Lamborghini dressed like Negan from The Walking Dead, with his own little bat, you know, a la Chris Jericho. And we see this match happen. Smitty, talk to me a little bit about the NXT Championship match. What were your likes? What were your dislikes?
Dislikes, obviously, that Dream didn't go over. But
why?
I just want to. I still want Dream to become an NXT champion as a fan.
Okay.
As a fan.
I heard you the first time you said as a fan.
But as a fan,
as a fan.
As a what?
As a fan.
As a fan.
Okay.
Things I like it was a decent cinematic match. I told you, I'm just kind of over cinematic matches right at this moment.
You know, I will say this. This was the least cinematic match ever. Because it wasn't like anything major was played into this or cuts, were made. Everything seemed to flow perfectly. You know, like it just seemed like it was a regular, normal backlot brawl that just had camera cuts. It's not like there was random things that had to be cut. Like obviously, when you're watching the Boneyard match, there were cinematic moments. You know, this one, you know, with the light going up behind Taker and things like that. This one, it just seemed like it's a backlot brawl, and the frame rate that we're shooting it in is going to make it cinematic versus the frame rate that's being shot for all of the things in the ring. So I see where you're coming from, Smitty, but I at least appreciate the fact that WWE might be seemingly understanding that, you know, too much of one thing is too much, and at least this seemed more like just like a match with a different frame rate than any other cinematic match.
I did like the finish because like the old Panama Sunrise onto the chairs, and then the last shot wasn't really a factor, leading to the pinfall. I enjoy finishes like that, like where it's not the typical. Hey, here's a finishing maneuver, and here's the 1, 2, 3, or here's a tap out, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a surprise roll up. So I enjoyed the finish.
Z, how did you feel about the match?
I liked the match. I like the circle of cars. It gave it definitely gave it a bar lot brawl or whatever, where everyone's in a circle. Having people in the cars, I mean, you instantly knew that either Arrow was going to be in one of those cars or they were going to pull up, which they did. I have a theory for these cinematic matches, why they're shorter than most of us expect, and it's probably because they take more money to make than if they were just doing a match. You know what I mean? They got to go through, they got to edit everything, so it's more money out of pocket. So you kind of more is less. I'm assuming is the theory here.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I mean, I enjoyed the match. I mean, I'm kind of with Smitty, you know, as a fan, I wanted Dream to go over. But I have a feeling this just means he's going to move up to the main roster, either, you know, be on Raw or SmackDown.
Right.
But one punch to the dick does it again. So, you know, that infamous low blow, you know, takes everybody out. No, but all in all, the match was good, and it was. Although it was a cinematic match, like you were saying, it was the least cinematic of this run of cinematic matches. And the one thing I can say about the cinematic matches that WWE has done during this time is that they're all different in their own way. So I'm not sick of it yet because I haven't done anything twice. It's all been different. Like the Boneyard match was different than the Money in the Bank match, and the Money in the Bank match was different than this backlot brawl. So, I mean, as long as they keep doing them and keep it fresh and do different things at each one of them, it'll be a long time before I get sick of them.
Mm-hmm. That's fair point. Fair point. Nick, how you feeling about this match, sir? Anything stand out to you that you just like loved?
It was a good match. I really liked when Cole went through the windshield. It was a really hard just slam through that windshield. I thought that was great. I really agree with what Z said. I like the circle of cars. It did give it that like midnight feel, like someone's gonna get their fucking ass handed to them. I liked all the chairs in the ring at the end with the Panama Sunrise, like Smitty said. I think he didn't really care for that too much. Am I right, Smitty? But
no, I said I liked that.
Okay. Yeah, I
didn't like
that
Dream
finish.
lost because of it.
I like the finish a lot. I also had Dream going over, so I didn't like that he lost. I like Dexter
Loomis.
Dexter Morgan. Dexter Morgan
involved.
No, that's the Showtime show.
Everything about it. I mean, okay. I do like Z's point though, is, you know, we've talked about it before where we could get sick of these cinematic matches, but if they're not doing the same thing twice, I mean, I like Z, I can't really get that bored with it because it's something different every time. And with Extreme Rules coming up next month, I think we might be in store for another one. So I'm okay with them still for now, as long as they don't beat a dead horse. So
stupid horses. I thought this match was good. It should. I expected a lot more though because it's Cole and Dream. I did appreciate the little nuances to it, like the Uber ride. Someone call an Uber? Hilarious. I did love the ECW throwback with all of the chairs in the ring, and of course being the finish with the Panama Sunrise. I was kind of weirded out. Like Cole was trying to escape, and he was like, "I'm gone. I'm leaving." And he gets in the car, and then like Dream starts hitting the car, and Cole's just like, "What are you doing?" Like, just dude, hit reverse. Like, why are you still sitting there? Like this, to me, I'm just like, this doesn't make any fucking sense at all.
All right, so the minute they showed that car, the minute it was like a 97 fucking Stratus, I was like, ooh, this car's getting fucked up.
But it was just, to me, I was just like, man, like, leave then, dude. Like, if you said you were leaving, you're just going to let him hit the car. Like, why wouldn't you just go in reverse? Now, like, if he would have went in reverse and, like, that's when the Undisputed Era would have pulled up, that to me, or the Uber, you know, but I was just sitting there like, it was one of those psychology points that made no sense. So you're kind of just like, okay. But I loved how they went around, how Dream was trying to stalk him, and he found the open door and then the fire extinguisher. I don't remember who was thrown into it. Someone was thrown into one of those little posts that were in the ground. I think it was Cole, and he hit it real hard, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, and it like bent it in the like off the cement. Yeah.
It was like, oh, like it looked really bad. It's crazy, you know. We were doing a live viewing of it with Daniel, and when Cole went through the windshield, I was like, damn it. He goes, you didn't pick Wrestler Bleeds? And I was like, no, I don't think any of us did, because it's WWE. And the last time you did. And I was like, the last time WWE did this, it was like nothing happened. Everything should have happened, but there was nothing. But overall, I feel like we could have gotten more out of this. I'm all right with Cole winning. A lot of people are, you know, upset Dream didn't win. And I would have liked Dream to win. I picked Dream to win. But I do agree. I feel the storyline makes more sense with Cole going on because he is literally the face of NXT, and there's more for people to work out with him, especially with Scarlett coming out on Wednesdays after fucking NXT afterwards, and she put the sands of time down, and she turned it over and was like, TikTok, brother. Karrion Kross is coming for you.
Yeah, I mean, having Dream or having I'm only mad because I picked Dream to win, so I didn't get those points. But like you're saying, it does make more sense to carry on with Cole
and carry on.
Yeah. But I mean, are we just gonna segue right into that match now? Then
yeah, I mean, I think that was the next.
That was the next match.
Yep. So go ahead, Z. Talk about it. You were going to be first anyway.
After watching that match, I think someone said it in the chat. Maybe it was a Twitter post made by one of us, but basically Karrion Kross is just Brock Lesnar with a better move set and 15 years younger.
Yeah, he definitely hit a 5F.
Yeah, yeah. He looked really good in that match, and it was essentially a squash match, but Ciampa got some offense in. But Ciampa, in my opinion, would be your face of NXT. I mean, up until Adam Cole. Now it's probably more Cole than Ciampa, but Ciampa was your guy before Cole's run with the championship. And he did it with ease. You've never seen, in the whole time in NXT, somebody handle Ciampa like that. Even though he's a smaller guy, he's got grit. So it was interesting to see, but it was quite the, like as you put it in the beginning, the squash match that wasn't a squash match.
Showcase match.
Yeah, whatever. It made Karrion Kross look really good, and going for, you almost have to put him in the title picture after that. Like the way he banned. I'd like to see him against Keith Lee. You could have Karrion Kross win the title, Keith Lee lose to Finn, and then you have Keith Lee versus Karrion Kross for the title, and that's in my opinion that match is money. I'd pay to see it. But this match overall, it's another hard-hitting match. Like, you saw Ciampa getting thrown across the ring and landing on, like, the back of his shoulders, and although he's, landing the way you're supposed to land, you're still like, ooh. Like, that sounded like that hurt a little bit. So, yeah, this is another just smash-mouth match, and it was great. And, both competitors, in win or loss, they both looked good in this match, and Ciampa really put Karrion Kross over and made him look like the badass that they're trying to portray him as. So, I thought that was really good.
Nick, how did you feel about this match?
I agree with Z. It did make Karrion look really good.
Karrion.
Yeah, it made him look good. It made him look like a beast. I like the comparison to Brock Lesnar with a bigger moveset. I'm interested to see what they do with him because, like, you guys said that Scarlett came out with the sands of time and TikTok. It's interesting to see him get such a huge push so quick, making him this dominant force. I'm really curious to see what they do with him. And yeah, Ciampa took a beating. There were a couple times when when these guys have these neck injuries and you see some of the moves they take, and it makes you a little squeamish. And that sort of thing just added to the match. And I didn't really know what to expect coming into it, but I think they pulled it off well. It was a really good match, and yeah, again, I can't wait to see what they do with Karrion.
So when she came out with the Sands of Time on Wednesday, did anybody else think as the world turns through the sands of time?
Dude, I was, it's really funny.
We know it was raised by their grandmothers.
So it was a group of
Obviously, so was he. Bring it up.
But it's funny that you mentioned that because it's every time that Cross, uses the TikTok and stuff, I go to The Rock. TikTok, because when he was coming for one of the, I think it was Kurt Angle. He was bringing the TikTok, and it just always takes me right back to when The Rock was doing that. Smitty, how did you feel about Mr. Cross and Ciampa?
I'm not as high on this match as you guys are, as the other two are. I feel like it did what it was supposed to do for Cross. I feel like he did nothing for Ciampa. Like I say, kudos to Ciampa for getting Cross over the way he did. But this match,
what was it supposed to do for Ciampa? What was it supposed to do for Ciampa? What could anything do for Ciampa?
So at this point, hear me out. So it's a takeover match. This is takeover. Where we're used to like a takeover having at least either great or decent match, like where both everybody's kind of highlighted in whatever match they're in, or whatever feature they're in, no matter what it is. I don't feel like Ciampa was like truly showcased. I feel like it felt like he just was in there to get some, like just make it not seem like a squash, to let him get some offense in.
Okay,
Again,
so you just explained the match.
Yeah, like but I don't understand why Ciampa doesn't need to be showcased at all. Ciampa isn't in any type of major thing that's happening right now. Like Gargano and Keith Lee was a storyline. This was just Cross needed a viable opponent who was up there, who was going to make him look strong. And that's exactly what Ciampa did. So there's nothing for Ciampa in this match to have done other than exactly what he did.
And what did you mean by it didn't do anything for Cross? Like,
no, I said it did what it was supposed to do for Cross.
Right. So what's your problem?
I'm just so used to WWE's 50-50 booking bullshit. I'm not.
What?
The 50-50 booking of WWE and their matches and stuff. And
so you're mad at the fact that they didn't do what you didn't want them
I'm not saying I'm not mad. It's just like it felt meh to me. Everything about that match just felt meh.
Okay.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke, V. I don't even know where to go because I'm really lost on how you could be upset that we even talked about it in the making of our predictions. It was like Cross is going over in this match. Ciampa is only there to make him look good. That's all Ciampa was there to do. Ciampa is like, when you're watching The Undertaker's Last Ride stuff, and there's so many people are talking about, guys are worried about their spots. Taker was just the guy who went in there just to get people who wanted to put people over who deserved to be over. So Ciampa, knowing that he's had basically everything, he's done basically everything in NXT minus a North American title, right? But he's been the top heel. He's been the top face. He is looked at and respected by the audience as one of the upper echelon NXT stars. So the fact that he went in there, gave Cross this match, did exactly what he was supposed to do, I'm really lost how you could be bummed that everything happened in this match that everyone said was going to happen in this match, and it did it well. It's not like it was like, oh, it's predictive and boring. It was predictive and fun to watch, I thought, me personally.
Maybe that's just our difference of opinion there. I didn't find it that as entertaining as you guys did. I just kind of found it meh. It was probably my low point of the whole card.
That was your low point of the whole card?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. We'll move on then. Nick, you're going to be kicking it off right here. Io Shirai becoming getting her first ever NXT Women's Championship in the triple threat match. How did you feel about this match, man?
It was a hard pick when we were doing the scorecards. That was the one that gave me the most trouble because, you know, Charlotte hadn't had the title that long. So I was like, you know, I didn't necessarily think they would take it away from her that soon. But then I was like, you know, Io has been pushing for something major here for quite some time. I flip-flopped on it for a little bit and ultimately ended up picking Io Shirai. I thought it was a really good match. I liked when Io jumped off of the house. I thought that was really cool because she sneakily did it. She got thrown through the window, and then the next thing you know, she's on top of the fucking house.
The window.
Right.
Yeah, it's like the window that Marty Jannetty got kicked through.
No, at least glass broke then.
You know, that was – yeah. that was really cool. And I liked the finish. You know, when Charlotte had Rhea in the figure 8, I thought that was really cool. Yeah, it was a really good match. I think it was a good way to end the pay-per-view, and I like Io as champion. Spectacular, but it was good.
Z, so Io goes over, and a lot of people are questioning, why the fuck did Charlotte even have the NXT Women's Championship? It was just a couple-month run. She only really defended it the one time. She was on Raw and SmackDown more than she was in NXT. But I'm pretty sure you have a great answer for this.
Becky got pregnant. They needed to move people around, and Charlotte right now is your best women's wrestler. I'm not head and shoulders better than everybody, but still your best women's wrestler. So with Becky being out, they need to move her over to Raw, maybe with Asuka, which is looking like the route they're going. We'll see how that develops. But I think that's part of the reason it was such a short run. If Becky didn't get pregnant and Becky didn't have to relinquish the title, again, we might see something different with Charlotte. But for now, you know, she went in, she won. I did not. I liked the concept of the finish of that match. I did not like the fact that they kept showing the camera angle where she doesn't even hit the moonsault, but yet still wins the match. Like she hits the match. She doesn't connect on Rhea Ripley at all.
No, her knee hit Rhea Ripley's face.
Well, right, but because Rhea Ripley was doing like a sit-up when she went to do the moonsault. So it was like, yeah, her knee hit her face, which, okay, in real life, that should finish the match. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, like, you didn't hit your move fully and you still got the 3 count. It should have at least – I mean, I knew when I first saw the match, when I saw the entrance to this match, I was like, oh, shit, Io Shirai's going over. Because there was only 2 reasons she'd be in this match. A, to win the championship, or B, to take the pinfall so that way Rhea Ripley or Charlotte didn't have to. They decided to put the title on her, which is good. I mean, it opens up a lot of possibilities in NXT, and then it pushes Charlotte back to the main roster where they seemingly want her now that Becky's gone. But I'm kind of sick of Charlotte Flair. I know I said that she's the best women's wrestler we have, but I feel like they gave her everything already. Like, the only thing she really has left to do is win the women's tag team titles and win the women's Royal Rumble. As she has done everything.
She won the women's
Royal
Rumble.
Rumble. She won this year.
Well, then the only thing left for her to do is win the women's tag team, and then she's literally done everything there is to do within that division. So maybe we'll start seeing her wrestle male competitors, go for like a mid-card title, because there's talks about how she wants to. Like, she wants to start competing against the men, which, I mean, at this point, you should let her, because right now in the women's division, there's nothing for her to do.
I don't know. Yes and no. I feel like if we're getting sick of Charlotte because there's nothing else for her to do, then putting her into a men's program, a program against the men, it is just more okay. They're just pushing Charlotte everywhere. Like there has to be some sort of break from Charlotte. Charlotte did an interview actually before this where they were she was talking about it and she was like, I'm just people want to see me. They put me in things because I'm the consistent one. I'm there for it when it needs to happen. It's like, yeah, that's all fine and dandy, but it's that fucking Roman Reigns, John Cena type thing that Charlotte's getting now, you know? Even Becky at her highest point would take a week off of Raw. You know what I'm saying? Like you wouldn't see her face because, you know, we were talking about this. I think we mentioned it. I mentioned it last week. I'm going to mention it again this week. Z, when we were watching, the wrestling match at your house, and we were looking at how Big Boss Man was taking on the Big Show. It was because he beat Rock to become the number one contender. You know, Rock was at one of the highest points for the Rock. You know, but he was still losing. He was still looking like it was beatable. So you have something to build from. You know, this whole Charlotte thing, there's nothing to build from. She didn't lose the NXT Women's Championship, but I guarantee she's not going to try to fight back for it. You know, so therefore, what you did to elevate it by winning at WrestleMania makes it look like you just shit on it now. Okay, I'm done with it. I've done what I did.
Yep.
You know, I'm
like I don't even care that I lost it. Yeah.
Right. I'm the other two-time women's NXT Women's Champion. I've now have 12 title reigns. I'm almost there with my dad. You know, it's like it's really weird. You know how they're working this because it's making other things seem so little because allegedly Charlotte is so big. You know, that's why people jumped for Becky. When Becky attacked Charlotte, it was supposed to be a heel move, but people were like, no, fuck, Becky deserves this. You know, they're sick of it. Similar to when Daniel Bryan had everything changed for him. People are getting real sick of WWE going, hey, here's our person. Here's our person. We're going to push our person. The Rock was your person. Austin was your person. We didn't feel like you were throwing them down our throats at that time, though. They were still losing things. They were still fighting for stuff. Now it's like, what is this person fighting for? They're just running through divisions.
So
and if you're just running through divisions, there's nothing for me to cheer for because I know you're going to win. If I don't know if you're going to win, that's how you build somebody.
Would it make you feel better if they did like a one-off of Charlotte and Io Shirai again and have Io go over cleanly? And that way it makes it look like Charlotte wanted her title back, but then it also elevates Shirai and makes her look beatable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. You know, you had a title. Why wouldn't you want it back?
You could theoretically, even though it's not a non-NXT event, but you could almost do it tonight at Backlash. Just throw Charlotte and Io on the card, get it out the way, and then you can start fresh tomorrow with Charlotte on Raw. Yeah. And then it looks like, and then she can talk about how she's been through a war, maybe introduce her. You know what I mean? Like you can build off of that, but like you're saying right now, there's nothing to build off of because they're putting her in a league of her own. Which
right, she even went to Raw and beat Asuka. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's looking ridiculous. Smitty, you were about to say something?
I was like, you brought up the whole like they treat Charlotte like they treat Cena and they treat Roman. You know when Z said about the whole one-off. Do you really think that will let Shirai go over clean, or there will be some?
Smitty, are your eyes even open?
Yeah.
Okay.
He keeps freezing. His screen keeps freezing. So there's times where he's like blinking and it catches him in a blink, or the times where he's resting his eyes and therefore it's just catching that.
For a minute it looked like he got punched in the nose and had two puffy eyes.
You're about to say something else, and I was like, he's always had those.
Yeah, my black eyes. Like T.I. said, my eyes always been black. They ain't never been no other color.
It's not about do I really think they would let Shirai go over clean. It's I think they should have Shirai go over clean because again, it takes when there's too much steam on something, right? You just don't care anymore. because you know what's coming. You can't get involved. You can't become emotionally invested in something if every emotion is gone. You know, like, oh, well, she's going to win, so what the fuck am I watching this for? You know, Grant, I honestly think that when she takes on Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship, Asuka's going to lose it right away. I don't think it's going to be any type of story built for a while. This is coming up at SummerSlam. It's Charlotte and fucking Asuka at SummerSlam. And I honestly feel Asuka's about to drop that belt just like that. Okay, cool. You beat Nia Jax. You know what? As long as Nia Jax doesn't kill Asuka tonight, she should win, right? But Nia Jax is also known to break you, period, if you just, you know, she won't let you do what she doesn't know how to wrestle. I don't know, man. It's you got to make Charlotte look fallible. If someone is infallible, if there's no chink in their armor, right? It's like, okay, cool. I know what's coming. There's
John
nothing
Cena
to go
from 2007 to 2017.
Right, and that's what it was. Like, always going over, never looking like there was a problem. The reason wrestling used to be so great is because even the best people lost. Now, granted, that was because there was a myriad of top guys. At that time, Austin, Rock, Triple H, you know, Big Show had the title at one point. Foley was up there. These are people, so you couldn't have just one person running roughshod on the whole division. It was, all right, let's flip-flop. You know, they had a great mid-card. They had a great main event all the time because people, you were invested in a match. Fuck, dude. Chris Jericho beat The Rock and Austin in the same fucking night. Obviously. Uses it all the time, right? Where the fuck is that now? Like, the best that you have right now is on NXT. We said it ourselves. A lot of people thought Gargano was going to go over. A lot of people thought Velveteen Dream was going to go over. Those were different endings than a lot of people thought, right? It made sense for those other guys to win. And I'm not mad that Cole is still the champion because you built it up in a storyline where it seemed like it was a 50-50 match, or it seemed like everything was built for the other side. So when Cole won, you're like, fuck. But damn, good. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we were like, oh, Dream should have won this match. It's like, nope, it's Dream's time. But then he loses and you're like, okay, yeah, he could still go up. So it's not fucking anything. It's not making you hate Adam Cole's run. I'm going to get off my little rant. Smitty, how did you feel about this? I saved you for last because I know as someone who obviously watches a lot more of the outside stuff than us, Io Shirai going over to you is probably a bigger deal.
I have never been so happy to be so wrong about a prediction on these scorecards.
I thought you picked Io Shirai.
No, I actually picked Charlotte to retain. I picked, like Z said, I felt like because this is what Io's third time going for that title, and they seemed like they were still really big on Ripley.
Wow.
So
who picked Io Shirai?
Me.
Nick's the only one that picked Io.
Nick? Fuck, dude. I was shit talking you so hard, Smitty, when Daniel and I were watching it. Not because I was like, fuck Smitty. It was like, Smitty picked this one, so that's how it's gonna go. Literally, because it was like something earlier happened that you had picked, and I was just like, fucking Smitty picked this. Just watching your score basically go up.
It was the first match. It was the whole 6-woman tag. I picked Tegan Nox to pin Dakota.
Yeah, and then I thought everything else was playing off that.
And the funny thing is, I came up by 1 point, and Nick's behind me by 1 point on this card right now.
Yeah, he is.
And then, so I was happy that Io won. And like Z said, like the way the intros came I'm like, oh damn! I realized I was wrong right when the intros came out, when they started coming out. I'm like, damn, I'm wrong.
Yeah, why is that?
It's kind of like Z said, like the way they set up everything from the intros. And then, like, I figured Io was going to be there to take the fall. She was going to tap to Charlotte, and it was going to continue the Charlotte-Rhea feud. But this, like, it's like, the one thing I did not take into account is, like Z said.
You know what I don't understand?
She got pregnant.
Is I've been the champion the least amount of times of everybody on the show right now, and yet everybody always agrees with me on the show.
Yeah, he is, dude. Idiots.
But as y'all know, I love my Joshi, so I'm glad to see her win. I feel like it would have made more sense if she did actually pin Charlotte over Rhea. So I don't think Rhea needed to take that fall,
right.
especially with everything that's going on with Charlotte right now. And I felt like it was a
after listening to
legit
everything you guys
mindset.
are saying, I feel like the NXT Women's title's kind of lost some of its luster now because, the fact that Charlotte lost, well, actually, okay, she didn't lose. She just didn't win the match. And she kind of hinted at that on Raw, but that's it. And she doesn't give a fuck about it. And if you're going to have your face of the women's division as Charlotte Flair lose a title that's supposed to have all this prestige behind it as the women's NXT title, and she loses it and she's like, I don't know, fuck that, I don't even give a fuck anymore. So what does that say about it now that it's on Io Shirai? Like, I like that Io won, but now after listening to all these comments, I'm kind of like, well, damn, does it really fucking even matter anymore?
Wasn't that also a person that was not the fan of Charlotte winning that Mania?
Well, you had Shayna Baszler hold that title for fucking ever, and then somebody like Charlotte take it, and now you have Io and Charlotte just like, okay, who cares? It's just whatever. It doesn't feel. It's shitty,
I lost your last 3 sentences, Nick.
Oh, I was saying, I was saying the fact that Charlotte lost that title and doesn't give a fuck about it anymore. It is really shitty, and I do think that they should have her go for it one more time to try and get that revenge over Io Shirai, because again, she didn't lose the match, she just didn't win the match. But
Right.
The fact that she doesn't want anything to do with it anymore and is now just moving on, it takes a lot away from the title for me.
Okay. That's exactly what you're talking about, man. It's everyone seems to be on the same page. And yeah, sure, it may have been because of Becky got pregnant, but the way it played out, think about this, right? We're watching NXT consistently going, wow, this is a really good brand. We really like the way things play out. We really like how they put storylines together. This is the one time that a storyline involves somebody who was in the Raw SmackDown area of WWE, and we're all sitting here going, it was dumb. It doesn't make any sense, blah, blah, blah. That's where the disconnect is between NXT and WWE. Watching WWE things play out anywhere always make a lot of people go, why? This time it goes into NXT, and it feels like it fucked NXT a little bit. It could be because Becky was pregnant. It might not be. It's the one fucking time you're just going, what the fuck with this? All right, boys.
Well, look how many times we've said that the NXT women's division is the best women's division around. And I think that loss right there with Io taking it a while. Again, I like the fact that she has the title. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all.
Let's go into Backlash with our Pro Wrestling Scorecards. Ladies and gentlemen, you can go to ProWrestlingScorecards.com. You can check out your own Backlash scorecard. But remember, sign up for the beta. It's free as shit. You go in, you get to see what other people are doing. Currently, 121 people are filled out a scorecard for Backlash. One more people. I get it. Look. You're looking at Backlash. There isn't a single person who's looking at Backlash going, this could be an amazing card. This could have the greatest wrestling match ever. But at the same time, you get a Pro Wrestling Scorecard. You watch, you have fun. Guess what? It's better than you were expecting. And we will say, let's be very honest. Anytime WWE's put out a card that seemed like it was going to be super underwhelming, it blew away expectations. That made it a great card. Makes it good. That's all it is. So we're going to get into this. Smitty is our champion. He is the current leader as well in points. He has – I'm going to pull it
62.
up real quick. Smitty, calm down. Jeez. He has 62 points. Nick, 61. Z with 54. And me with 87 or 45. I think it's 87, though. I think I'm winning and Smitty's losing. So, that's how it goes. So Smitty will be making his picks last. Obviously, we'll do a rotation here. I'm actually going to start off. The first match is Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus. I don't know if you guys watched SmackDown.
Piss trucking contest.
It was really awesome watching Shawn Michaels throw pee in Shane and Vince's face. I'm sorry. That was Hardy doing it to Sheamus, even though we have seen this earlier before. So stupid. I have Jeff Hardy going over Sheamus by piss pin. Sorry. No, the match will not be over 15 minutes. Yes, there will be a pre-match promo, and no, there will not be a fight before or after the match. Nick, what you got?
I've got Jeff Hardy by pin, no for over 15, no for promo, and no for fight before or after the
match. All right. Z.
I have Sheamus by pinfall. No, it will not be over 15 minutes. No, there will not be a pre-match promo, and yes, there will be a fight before or after the
match. All right. Smith Kishi.
Yeah, I got Jeff Hardy winning by pinfall. No to over 15 minutes. Yes to a pre-match promo, and yes to a fight before or after the match. Because I feel like
do you think they're leading up to like an R. Kelly angle here?
You think a little girl's gonna be involved?
Piss on you. I think it's a Dave Chappelle angle. Again, if the angle wasn't the exact basic word for word of the Vince McMahon, Shane McMahon, Shawn Michaels promo, I would think they were leading up to something. But currently, it just seems like they're recycling everything horribly. Like,
and throwing piss.
It's so you're gonna drink something orange there, Smitty? Ew. Also,
did he just cheers to drinking piss?
Yeah, he did. He fucking did.
It's pineapple juice, assholes.
Oh, yeah. So it makes your piss taste better. Is that what it is? Gross. Yeah, I don't know what they're building to in this. I'll be very honest. Up next, Edge versus Randy Orton is what is billed as the greatest wrestling match ever. Nick, go ahead and lead it off.
I've got Randy Orton by pinfall with 8 near falls, yes to over 3 RKO attempts, 24-minute match, and no to a concerto.
All right. Z.
I have Randy Orton by pinfall, 6 near falls. No, the RKO attempts will not be over 3. Match time 26 minutes, and no to a concerto.
All right. I have Randy Orton by pinfall, 7 near falls, yes to over 3 RKO attempts, 23-minute match time, and no concerto used at any time. Smitty.
I have Orton winning by pinfall, 5 near falls, yes to over 3 RKO attempts, a 23-minute match time, and no to the concerto.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the greatest wrestling match ever. All of us have Randy Orton going over. Obviously, Edge won the return match. So are we thinking that there's going to be a rubber match down the line? Nick, is that why you're picking Randy Orton?
Yep. Plain simple. Okay. Yep.
Z, what about you?
Yeah, I think the payoff here comes at Extreme Rules. So we'll have another gimmick match after this gimmick of a wrestling match.
Really? I think it's SummerSlam.
It could be. Maybe they skip Extreme. Whatever. I mean, you got Edge for 4 appearances, and he's already made 2. So, I mean, he's got 2 more. Contract-wise, and who knows, maybe they'll pay him more to make another appearance or whatever. But I do see this, being kind of the best out of 3. Edge takes 1, Orton takes 1, and then Edge gets the payoff. Maybe at SummerSlam in some kind of gimmick match, though. It'll probably be like a ladder match. Yep, exactly. So
I agree. I think SummerSlam's a smarter idea, just because I think they might have a crowd again, and then we get Randy Orton and Edge with a crowd.
Yeah, and that's what the last man standing match they had desperately needed was a crowd. So if they're going to do another gimmick match, like like a TLC match, because that's Edge's thing. Like, okay, Randy, this was your thing, now I get my thing. However that works. So yeah, I think Orton will go over, and I think this is gonna be your longest match on the card if done correctly, because they're toting it as the best wrestling match ever. But wrestling matches back in the 80s and shit like that used to go an hour, no problem. The Broadways. So this match technically has to be longer, but I'm thinking they're gonna start with like a slow build, like start with some like chain wrestling and kind of go through every type of wrestling that they possibly can, until they get to their finish. So I'm interested to see how long and how good of a greatest wrestling match they'll put on.
But when it came to the whole like payout of the third match, if it happens, I think it's gonna be like a 3 stages of hell type deal at SummerSlam.
Yeah, you think Edge is gonna go that far into it? He's like, all right, let's do it.
Hey, it's a 3 stages of hell. It's just 3 different best 2 out of 3 matches to finish off the feud.
All right. Up next is the U.S. Championship match. Apollo Crews defending his United States Championship against Andrade with Zelina Vega. Z, you're kicking this one off, sir.
Wasn't this match originally billed as a triple threat match? Wasn't it supposed to be a triple threat match or no?
No, Andrade won the number 1 contender.
In a triple threat match. So, anyways, I have Apollo winning by pinfall with 5 aerial moves, and yes, Zelina will interfere.
Yep. All right. I have Apollo Crews winning by pinfall. It was the chest. It was the chest, guys. It's the chest. I couldn't tell them apart. By pinfall, 8 aerial moves and yes to outside interference. Nick.
I've got Apollo Creed winning by pinfall, 4 aerial moves, and yes to outside interference.
All right. And Smitty.
I got Apollo 13 winning by pinfall, 6 aerial moves, yes, outside interference.
Every one of us fucked him except Z. That's fucked up, man. I'm just saying. He's the United States champion. He deserves a lot more respect than that.
I don't know why you guys call him Creed. I don't know why you guys call him Creed. He's clearly Terry Crews' son.
See, I was gonna go with Terry Crews, but
just
everybody made a.
It's the chest again.
I was listening to Busted Open this week, and Bubba brought up a really good point that they need to start giving Apollo like more of a personality, because he's got this big smile, and he was talking about it. He's like, they should use it in the gimmick. And like, how Denzel in American Gangster was like, my man, and then, something would happen. So when he had that, confrontation with Andrade, he should have just smiled real big, been like, my man, and then just clocked him and given him like a pathway to a personality instead of just being this white meat baby face.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. You would say what, Smitty?
Big happy smiling coon at times.
Wow. That's
the views and opinions here are not that of
I would like to point out that Smitty again buried the lead on my comment, because I was going to say the last time WWE did anything with a smiling black guy, it really went bad for that T-shirt. ICH.
Still zero sold. Still zero sold.
Still zero sold. Not a person bought that shirt. Up next is a tag team triple threat match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. Sasha Banks and Bayley are defending their newly won titles against Alexa Bliss, same show, right? And Bliss and Cross and the Iconics. I'm kicking this one off. I have Sasha Banks and Bayley retaining by pinfall. I think Billie Kay will take the fall. I think Sasha Banks will make the fall. Are the champions involved in the finish? Yeah, they're retaining. And how many weapon types? 5. Aerial moves? 8. Z, what you got?
I have the Iconics winning by pinfall Bailey is going to take the fall. Peyton Royce is going to make the fall. So yes, the champions will be involved in the finish. I don't think any weapons are going to be used in this match, but I put one just in case. And aerial moves, I have 6.
All right, Nick.
I have Sasha the Clydesdale Banks and Bailey winning by pinfall. Billy Kay is going to take the fall. Bailey is going to make the fall. Champions will obviously be involved in the finish with 2 weapon types and 5 aerial moves.
Why'd you call her Clydesdale?
Because she reminds me of a horse.
Because of her big fuck teeth.
Yeah.
Yep, there you
Talking
go.
about-
The
talking about
minute
Billy
you
Kay.
said Clydesdale, no, he said Sasha.
Oh. Yeah, you know what? She does kind of look like a miniature horse. You're
Yeah,
right.
she is My Little Pony.
Oh, that's a good one.
Smitty, who you got?
I got Banks and Bailey winning by pinfall. Peyton Royce takes the fall. Bailey makes the fall. Yes, the champs will be involved in the finish. 3 weapon types, 5 aerial moves.
All right. Someone's going potty. That's
Smitty's
Smitty's house. Up next is a handicap match for the Universal Championship. Braun Strowman defending against John Morrison and Michael the Miz Mizanin. Nick, who you got?
I've got Braun by pin. The Miz is going to take the fall. 13-minute match time, 6 near falls. Yes to a table being destroyed, and yes to the Fiend appearing.
All right. I have Braun by pinfall. Miz taking the fall. 8-minute match time. 3 near falls. No announced table will be destroyed. And yes, the fucking Fiend will appear during or after the match. Mr. Z.
I have Braun Strowman by pinfall. The Miz will take the fall. It'll be a 9-minute match time, 2 near falls. No table will be destroyed, and yes, the Fiend will appear.
All right. Smith Kishi, Smith Griddle.
I got Braun Strowman, a.k.a. Ogre, winning by pinfall. Miz takes the fall. 15-minute match time. 4 near falls. No table destroyed. And yes to the Fiend.
All right. Up next is the Raw Women's Championship match. Asuka defending against Botch Machine Nia Jax. That's just what it is, man. Z.
I have not botching Asuka winning by submission. The match will not be over 10 minutes. There will be 3 near falls, and the mist will not be used.
All right. Nick.
I have Asuka by submission. The match is going to go 10 minutes and 2 seconds. 7 near falls and no missed.
All right. I have Asuka retaining by submission. Yes, over 10 minutes. 3 near falls. Missed used? Fuck yeah. Smithversity.
I have Asuka winning by submission. Yes, the match will be over 10 minutes. 4 near falls. And no to the mist being used.
All right. Finally, for the matches, the WWE Championship match. Drew McIntyre defending against Bobby Lashley. I will lead this one off. Drew McIntyre will retain the WWE Championship by pinfall after an 18-minute match time with 2 finishers being used throughout the match. And yes to outside interference. Z.
I also have that guy from 3MB winning by pinfall. 17-minute match time, 2 finishers, and yes to outside interference.
Nick.
I've got Drew Hill McIntyre by pinfall, 12 minutes, 4 finishers, and yes to outside interference.
Smitty.
I have country music star Drew McIntyre winning by pinfall. 21-minute match time, 3 finishers, yes to outside interference.
All right. Finally are the not the unscheduled, it's the extras for Backlash. If you guys have been paying any attention to this show, you know that we have been asking for this shit for a while. Z mentioned it last week. I have been on Daniel's ass about it, about Pro Wrestling Scorecards. We have said, give us an order for matches. Like, make these points. You know, I personally wanted them on every match. Just like, for the match, where do you think it'll land? Daniel's always said, we were watching TakeOver. He goes, the problem with that is WWE seems to follow exactly what they're doing on the website, whatever they post. And I go, not always, man. As a matter of fact, it's rare that they follow what they put up on the website. And right as he said that, that's when we got the backlot brawl. And I was like, see, right here. This was touted as the main event. And all of a sudden now it's the 4th match in the card. And he was like, yeah, all right. So I think that's why we got this for the extras, basically to shut us up. And I'm fine with that. 100% fine with that. So
yeah, next time can we do the full match card and not just a handful of matches?
Right. He said we'll see how it plays out. So this is kind of a tester. I go, watch this be the fucking Apollo. Xavier Woods. I was about to say Apollo Creed. Watch this be.
Creed.
Yeah. Watch
Makes
this be
sense. Same chest.
Yeah, 100%. No, one of them has hair. Different chest. But again, still Creed and TNA. But yeah, I was like, watch this be the one Xavier Woods type style where I had the trumpet thing and there was never a trumpet. And the 2 matches that they did it was the only time Xavier Woods never played the trumpet in the middle of a fucking match. So fuck that. So we're hoping that this works out. Nick, you're kicking this one off.
Whew, I've got the women's tag match as the opening match. U.S. Championship match number 3, Raw Women's Championship match number 5, and the main event will be the WWE Championship.
Really?
All right, here's the thing, Nick. If you're toting something as the greatest wrestling match of all time, there's no other spot for it but the main event.
Like it literally says the greatest match of all time on every. It's put next to the fucking any other match that's going on. But if you want to stick with Edge, if you want to stick with the WWE Championship, go for it.
No, I'll put Edge versus Orton. I just, I'm thinking that it's not going to be the greatest match of all time, so that's why I didn't put it. But
it's how they've been promoting it, so it almost has to.
All right.
If it's not the main event, it's going to be like, what the fuck?
Fine, Edge and Orton is the main event.
That's how they promote this whole pay-per-view.
And if it's the WWE Championship, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah, I was going to say, now that we've convinced you, it'll be the WWE Championship.
I have the women's tag match as the opening match. Match number 3 is the Raw Women's Championship match. Match number 5, I have the WWE Championship match. And the main event, I have the Universal. No, I'm just kidding. Edge versus Z.
All right, so my opening match is the women's tag match. Match number 3 will be the U.S. Championship match. Match number 5 will be the Universal Championship, and then it'll be Edge versus Orton as the main.
Mini.
I have exactly what Z has. The women's tag match at the Open, the U.S. Championship at match number 3, the Universal Championship at match number 5, and Edge versus Orton as the main event.
All right. Before we sign off, because that's basically all we got, I want to talk a little bit about this pay-per-view. Not so much the matches going into it, just what are your expectations for it? Z.
I'm expecting to see the best wrestling match I've ever fucking seen in my entire life. That's what I'm expecting. That's what they tell me I'm getting, so that's what I'm expecting. Actually, I'm expecting neither one of them to live up to that. Maybe 10 years ago they could have pulled it off. I'm interested to see what they do. If you're going to promote it the way they've been promoting it, I'm kind of, like I said, interested to see that. I'm interested to see where Drew and Lashley goes, because finally, for the first time since he's been back, they're kind of giving Lashley a push to where he's like a monster, monster heel.
And
I
it's
don't necessarily.
accidental.
Well, right, but either way, that's fine.
It's organic.
Let it happen.
Right.
Because now, like, if this goes well, we could finally see Lashley and Lesnar, maybe at WrestleMania coming up. Like, if they continue to build him like this, the only thing I don't like is his finishing move being the full Nelson. Like, come on, give me something better than that, because no one's ever passed
Master
out
lock?
from being put in a fucking full Nelson. Like, give me a break.
It's a master lock.
Well, whatever. Chris Masters is retired now, so it's back to being a full Nelson. As far as the other matches go, I'm indifferent. I really don't know who's going to win that women's tag title match, because they could go any way with that. So, I'm interested to see the outcome there. I would like to see Apollo get a little run. I picked him to win, but I have a feeling he might lose just to put the title back on Andrade. But again, we'll see what happens. Maybe the other little Mexican guy will cost Andrade.
Andrew Garza.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. So I mean, I'm looking forward to this pay-per-view. I think it. Yeah, I really don't think it'll be better than Takeover, because they never are. But it's got potential.
Nick, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. I'm actually looking forward to that Apollo Crews Andrade match. I think that could be one of the better matches on the card. My expectations for the greatest wrestling match of all time are indifferent, only because, like, if that's what you keep promising us and whatever, it's hard to live up to that hype. So
you guys, hold on. You guys understand that they've already filmed this match, right? This is our cinematic match for this? Okay. Like, there's so many cuts that are going to happen that I'm going to watch this going, whatever.
Okay, so speaking of cinematic matches, did you notice, like, you can tell, like, for Money in the Bank, for example, you could tell there was probably a lot of botches just by, like, the edits and the cuts. But, like, Dream and Cole, they didn't seem to edit. I mean, they probably did, don't get me wrong, but it didn't seem as many cuts. And I was like, oh, probably because they did it right the first time. They didn't have to fucking reshoot it.
Fair. That's fair. That's fair. Nick, your other points? Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, I was a little indifferent about the Sasha Banks, Iconics, and Alexa Bliss triple threat match, because on one hand, I feel like they're going to break up Sasha and Bayley, but I don't know if they're necessarily ready to pull the trigger on that just yet, because they just won the titles.
It's only been building for 5 years.
Well, you know what I mean, as far as the titles are concerned, because they just won them. But yeah, an interesting night for sure.
Yeah. On the other hand, Nick will have lotion.
Yes. Yeah. There's plenty of that. Yep, right here. See.
Right by the computer. Rough.
Good
job, Randy
it
Marsh.
really does. You're right. I was going to say, it really does look like South Park over there, doesn't it? Somebody's got the background. Somebody's got the background, so we can't see it.
Right. You're like, no one's going to notice all my tissues.
Are those spider webs?
Smitty, are you even caring at all about this pay-per-view, other than the fact that the points with the pro wrestling scorecards?
They have nails on the head for me.
You said what?
I pretty much don't care. Like, the only story I'm really invested in is the McIntyre Lashley angle, and that's
the only match that has a black guy in it.
No, Apollo Crews. You have a black woman inside the triple threat. There are plenty of people of color on this card.
Ooh, okay, POCs.
But I like what they're doing with Lashley right now, especially with the MVP and Lana angle as well. Like Drew's looks like an actual smart babyface. He doesn't look like a chump as champion. Like, sometimes WWE has a tendency of making your babyface look like complete chumps and idiots.
Yeah, well, they're letting him talk. They're not scripted promos from him, he said.
So I like the direction they're letting Drew go in. I like the direction they're putting Lashley in. I feel like they're still trying to fix the whole love triangle angle. That's why the only reason Lana's still involved in it. But outside of the story there, I'm glad to see Apollo Crews getting television time, getting time to showcase himself in the ring. Him and Andrade is probably going to, like Nick said, is probably going to be a show stealer. It'll probably be a better wrestling match than the greatest match ever.
It's a good thing. The only one that you really care about is Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley. Then, huh? The only one I really care about is this, but I'm really happy about this. I don't give a shit about this pay-per-view. I'll be very fucking honest. Nothing about this interests me. I agree all about everything we said about Edge and Orton 10 years ago. Man, fuck yes. But at the same time, I also know that every time I don't give a shit about a WWE pay-per-view, it surprises me. Am I going to watch it? Yes. Am I going to watch it live? Yes. But it does not change the fact that every time I go into a WWE pay-per-view with this little expectation, at the end of it, I'm going, that wasn't fucking bad. So I'm really hoping,
because you didn't have any fucking expectations.
But at the same time though, you could still go into it with no expectations and go, yeah, that still sucked. That's exactly what I thought it was going to be. You know, but
they are who we thought they were.
Right. But WWE has been doing that consistently for a year and a half now. We said it. In 2019, they had one bad pay-per-view, right? The WWE style branding. No. Table, ladders, and chairs. TLC.
Well, Hell in the Cell.
Hell in the Cell was bad too.
Wait. Oh yeah. Well, no, we said the ending to Hell in a Cell was shit. Overall, like we remember because we were talking about TLC, it peaked at Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy, and then went to shit. So it was like not a good pay-per-view.
Yeah,
but there's been obviously the Money in the Bank ending. You know, when Lesnar just all of a sudden was in the match. You know, there's been bad endings to these pay-per-views, but overall, that we were like, yeah, it was good. You know, not great, not spectacular, but average. You know, a little bit better than average. They were good pay-per-views. So that's what I'm expecting. I'm hoping WWE does today, because I'm really worried that it could just fall flat. Because there's really, I also get it. This is a pay-per-view being built on stuff that they had, that they're like pieces they're throwing in, travel restrictions, so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. So I'm hoping that we get a good pay-per-view, but I really just don't give a shit. But I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to watch it live. So, all right, guys, that's it for us. Make sure you go to breakingdownthering.com and get all the fucking merch that we got going up. Make sure you're following us on all of our social medias. Again, you can find all that stuff at breakingdownthering.com. And remember, if you purchase our brand new Pride shirt, 30% of that goes to helping support the LGBTQ youth, because they are the ones who definitely need all of the conversation, especially now, since all the stuff for transgender things were just revoked. So, hey, cool. That's it for us. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. We are your ring crew.
The champ, Smitty.
Future champ, Cole Nick 19.
You're never champ, plain YZ.
And me, the almighty one, Mikey himself. Again, thank you so much for listening and watching, and we are out.